There is a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to chase the vision that sets your soul on fire. This is that moment, and here we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire, and truths that set you free. This is Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where hope has a voice, and that voice is yours. And welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Kevin, and Michelle is right there. I got to tell you, Michelle is having one of those extraordinary days. Aren't you, Michelle?
Yeah, I feel like we've been saying that a lot more often. And there's so much more meaning in life when you start to look at the little things. There's blessings in front of you all the time, and I get to see that now. So my days are getting a lot better as I get older, and I love that. And you too, Kevin, right? You agree?
Yeah, you're so friggin' old. It's hard to believe that you're even alive still.
I know.
I'm telling you. And would you like to introduce our guest today? We've got a wonderful guest for everybody to talk to. Go ahead.
Yes, I'd love to. We have Michelle Schafer here with us today. She has a beautiful website, which is mschafercoaching.ca. And she teaches people that career is more than work. It's a life choice. She's a coach doing leadership. She has workshops and also a book. So welcome, Michelle. How are you?
Thank you very much, Michelle. I'm doing great, and wonderful to hear that you're doing great too.
Yeah, and you're up into Canada place, don't you know?
Yes, it is cold. At the time we're recording this, it felt like minus 27 Celsius this morning. So lots of frost on the face when you go out now.
We don't even know in the United States, because we're still in the Stone Age. We have no idea what that means, 27 below Celsius.
It's cold. That's all you need to know.
And it is that. So you are a life coach, and you are a career coach, and you help people figure out what they're going to do in a meaningful way, because that's why we're here, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, Kevin, we've had conversations about how our lives and our careers really need purpose. And sometimes we just fall into a career path with no planning. We haven't really thought about it. And, oftentimes we just move from job to job. We don't really take a chance to hit the pause button, as I'll say, and do some reflection. And it's so important to just have a good idea of what's important to you, the kind of work that really energizes you, the kind of organization you want to be with, and also what your non-negotiables and your deal breakers are. And those three things that I mentioned are really the keys to career fulfillment. And when we don't have those things, it can show up in our life and in not such a great way. So, the work that I do with clients is really to help them intentionally find that work that does light them up and does give them some purpose.
I was really, really lucky in my career, because I started out selling shoes, hated it. Did I say hated it?
Oh.
Selling women's shoes. I had no idea what women like shoes so much, in any event. So I did that. I was a night stalker at Fred Meyer. I mean, it's not what it seems. I used to stock shelves in the middle of the night. And I also was a cabinet maker. And one day they came to me and said, "You screwed up that cabinet. You're fired." And no, so I quit before I was fired.
Good move.
But then Michelle, I don't know, Michelle, if you even know this, but I was a boxer for a period of time, and because Rocky had come out, and I was doing that, and then I got into a boxing match, and they broke my face, literally. Wow. And then I had to have surgery to put my cheek back where it once was, and no longer was there. And so then I was like, now what do I do? What am I going to do? I had no idea. I had no college education. I had no desire to go to college. So I ended up as a graveyard dishwasher at Denny's. And my family said, well, I guess that's his role in life, is he's going to be a graveyard dishwasher someplace and stuff. But I went from that to being a general manager of a $3 million property and had 75 employees and all of that. So sometimes you fall into things that fill your soul totally by accident. And now, of course, there was no accident involved with me. That was by design, by divine design, if you ask me. So, but
and you like the night shift. Clearly, that's something that I was hearing that connected a lot of those experiences.
Getting up in the morning is not my forte, but I did enjoy working at night. And by the way, there's a whole different type of person that will show up in a restaurant at 3:00 in the morning.
Oh, I'm sure you could write a book with all of the stories.
I could. I could, and as a matter of fact, but the thing is that you find, if you are lucky enough, you find your career and you figure out what it is. Now, let me ask you, when you're coaching somebody and how does it go for you? Does it go like, okay, what do you like to do? And then they say, well, I like to do this, and I like to be with people, and I like to be of service and stuff. And then how does all of that work? Does anybody even know any of that?
It's really interesting that you asked that, because there are some people that I work with, Kevin, that do know that with clarity. So one of the things that I work with clients on as a starting point, and I'm offering this to your listeners for free. It's going to be one of the things that gets popped into the show notes. It's a way of reflecting on what's important to you. It's called the Career Focus Framework. And really it's a series of questions that allow you to just reflect on, what are the things that you have truly enjoyed doing in the past? What are the things that maybe drain you? What are the things that might be waiting backstage in your life that maybe the timing has just never worked out, but you've thought about doing? Like, maybe it's owning your own business or something like that. So I find that there are some individuals that when they really are honest with themselves, they do have a lot of clarity. They just need to be asked the right questions. But Kevin, I have worked with a number of people who really don't know those things. And what's even sadder is I've worked with some people, when I talk to them about, well, what do you enjoy doing? What's the kind of work that, maybe lights you up a bit, where you have caught yourself maybe losing track of time when you're engaged in this activity, or you want to do more of it. And when I ask them about that, and I say, don't just look at what you're doing now, look at your whole career. Some people, believe it or not, will say, you know what? I've never felt lit up by my work. I've never done anything that I've really enjoyed. So, what their career path has been, Kevin, is, they've fallen into different jobs, kind of like how we're talking about it now, but they haven't enjoyed any of them, and they don't know what they want to do next. But all they know is that they've never found it. They've never found that thing that they really want to do. And that can be really discouraging for some people to acknowledge that. But, I look at the flip of that and I say, you know what? Acknowledging that is step number one, which means if you've never found something that really lights you up at whatever age you are, that just means that thing is out there. Like there's hope and possibility out there, because, just because you haven't found it, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means it's maybe a little bit more concealed than it is for other individuals. And what can also help is having a conversation partner like a coach to ask the right questions, to reflect back to that person what I'm hearing, and help to expose some possibilities for them that they just never would have thought of for themselves. So it might take a lot more work with somebody like that, but it's sure not impossible. And I have seen people go from, kind of asking that question, like, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? They might be wondering that. And then they do move into something that, feels a little bit more purposeful. They feel like their non-negotiables are being met. They're working for an organization that believes the same thing that they believe in, like there's a lot of values alignment, and they are doing some work that they can stand behind, they feel like they're energized by. So it's amazing to me, and it's so fulfilling when I see those clients move on to something else, and that they're at a point in their life where they're ready to do the hard work. They're ready to do some soul searching and some reflection and some research that will help them get there. And the plan, it's really important, I think, when you're looking for something new, to have a plan. It's partly about having a destination, kind of like going on vacation, Kevin, except not as much fun. Like, you need to have a target when you're looking for work, just like you need to have a destination when you go on vacation. You also need to have a plan when you're looking for work, and a plan when you go on vacation. So helping individuals clarify their destination and build a plan is really rewarding, for me and for them.
Sometimes you need a coach who can then send you in the right direction based upon everything in your life that they know about you. Michelle and I had the same coach at one point, and that's how Michelle ended up working with me.
Amazing.
Because the coach said, she might fit what you're looking for really nicely, and she didn't even know it until she got involved with it, and now she's stuck.
You've never looked back, right, Michelle?
No, I said that's exactly what I say when I tell the story, is all this, Kevin, and I never looked back.
Yeah.
And I don't. I'm a completely different person.
Well, and you're a perfect example, I think, of somebody who's found like real fulfillment in their career. And like, when, if you were to mentally map out your experience right now against, are you doing work that gives you energy? Are you working for an individual in an organization that believes what you believe in? And does this opportunity fulfill your non-negotiables? When you can mentally map that up against your preferences, you can see what's aligned. And for clients who I'm working with, I say, use those 3 keys to career fulfillment to evaluate any opportunity, because you can see where that opportunity ticks the big boxes, but also where there's disconnects. And where there's disconnects, then it's up to the person to decide, can I live with these disconnects, or are they big? Is this going to cause me to look for work sometime else? And, I'll say to people, run towards something that is a good fit for you versus running away from what you have. Like, when people run away from what they have, they make decisions that are snap decisions. They're not based on alignment. They're not intentional. They just take whatever's in front of them. And we sometimes can think the grass is greener on the other side until we get there and we realize it's just as burnt as the side that we left. And, nobody wants to do that. So having some guidelines to evaluate opportunities can be really helpful and leading to great decisions like what you made, Michelle.
No, thank you. And Kevin, I had to say, we take our grass with us where we go, huh? Because when my grass changed and I came here, I've realized that not just me, but many people, they actually find something that's more fulfilling and tops way more guidelines than they even thought they had in the beginning. And so they realize that was possible the whole time. You just had to be willing to do it. Right, Kevin?
Yeah. Well, Michelle, the interesting thing about her story is I hired her to be an assistant to do behind the scenes stuff and so she had the opportunity at that point to be able to say no. And she was working with somebody that she didn't particularly like all that well. But she stuck, if you look at her face, but she stuck with it. She stuck with me because she liked positive talk. She liked the overall mission. And then and tell me if this happens in your work with your clients. The skies opened up and everything cleared away. She was working as a lunch lady. That went away. She came to work with us full time. And then the people, like I had a co-host, he's gone now. I had the other person that she didn't like all that well. She's gone now. Okay. And Rochelle just grew into the role because she was willing to stick with it. And we need to take a break, but when we come back, I want to talk to you about that, because it is so important that you have a vision for what you want and be willing to work for it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And we're going to be right back right after this. We'll be back in 1 minute, I promise. Here are some points to ponder from Positive Talk Radio. You know, some say leadership is about getting the work done, about pushing forward, no matter the cost. But what's the cost of a team with no purpose? What if a single act of support, a single moment of genuine grit could change everything? What if leadership was a catalyst? Because true leadership isn't about being in control. It's about empowering others to find their purpose. It's about leading with passion and igniting the fire in everyone around you, creating a culture of teamwork and common purpose. A true leader finds this culture by enthusiastic purpose and team development, making each team member feel empowered to create, improve, and execute their tasks with genuine passion and a strong belief in the company's mission and focus. In other words, lead with purpose. Welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin McDonald, and there is Michelle, and Michelle Schafer is with us. I got to ask you, what did you think of that piece?
Oh, are you asking me, Kevin?
Yes, ma'am. Michelle's seen it a bunch, so.
I wasn't sure. Of course, that's true. There's one word that really just screamed out for me, which is purpose. We can talk about leading with purpose, but I'm going to, especially in the work that I do, it's about living with purpose as well, and bringing that purpose into our work. And before the break, we were talking about, in terms of, individuals as they're looking for something new, and, you can kind of fall into something, and then, you want to have a vision for where you're going to be going next, especially if you're going to be making a big change. And I fully agree with that. I caution people against making moves without having a plan or having a vision, because then you're just like, this is how I see it show up. When there's no vision and no plan, what do people do when they're looking for something new? They update their resume and they scatter it across the marketplace. One person I talked to, I remember this conversation distinctly. He had sent out 300 resumes in 1 week, 300. And I said, oh, so just out of curiosity, how many interviews have you been receiving? Well, guess what? The answer was big nothing. Why? He had no vision. He had no destination. He was just applying to anything, and doing the easy apply on LinkedIn, it's called easy apply for a reason. It's way too easy. Like, there's no work that goes into it. So what I encourage people to do, especially if they're, in a role where they're kind of languishing, like they're languishing in this job. It's kind of making them sick. They dread Mondays. They don't want to be there. I say, like, well, what is your vision? Like, what, and not a vision in terms of what's that title that you're going to be striving towards, because titles mean different things to different people in different places. But it's, what's your vision of the kind of work you want to do? Back to that work that energizes you. You can see it's a key to so many conversations, and certainly to get clarity. It's also important to have a vision on the kind of organization. Like, maybe somebody's been in a really large organization. There's a lot of bureaucratic red tape, and they want to move to something that's smaller, where they have access to the CEO. Like, that's part of the vision as well. So it's gathering all of those things that really speak to how important these priorities are. And our career priorities change as we get older, as we're in different stages in life. Our career choices really need to align with those changes in priorities. So having a vision is absolutely 100% important. If you don't, you're not looking for new opportunities with any kind of intention. And I really believe in intentionally seeking out opportunities that align with what's important to you. Without that vision, without that plan, it's kind of like, Kevin, I don't know if you've ever played darts, but I kind of think of it as like you're just throwing darts everywhere and you're not even aiming for a bullseye because you don't know where the bullseye is. That can be really frustrating. Like, first of all, you're going to lose that game. You're probably going to put a whole lot of holes in the wall. I know I've got a dartboard in my basement. Yes, there are holes in my wall, from lots of missed shots. As a job seeker, you want to maximize your time and your energy. You don't want to have a lot of missed shots. You want to be able to hit that bullseye with precision so that the return on investment of your time and of your energy, that you're getting closer to finding an opportunity that will be a really good fit for you. And that is not easy. Like, for your viewers, for anybody just listening, you're not going to see this, but I'm going to read out the sign in my office. If you're watching this, you can see it. It says, "Find joy in the journey." And exploring new paths, it's a journey. I say to people when they're working with me, I said, don't expect to have it all figured out after the first 1 hour session. That's not how it works. The reflection takes time. The research takes time. The aligning all of your marketing assets, like your resume and your LinkedIn profile, to your new career destination, guess what? That takes time as well. So I think when people, approach this process, knowing that it's important to have a plan, you need to do some reflection, and having a conversation partner can be really helpful, then doing the work seems a lot more effortless when you know that it's leading you to something really great.
Yeah.
Well, let's back up just a touch and talk about Michelle. By the way, this is very hard for me because I've got Michelle and Brichelle. So if I screw it up, it's just the way it goes.
We're pretty forgiving.
Yeah, but you were in the banking industry for 18 years, and there came a moment in time when you said, "Oh, this is all well and good," but because you had told me that when you first started there, you were thinking, "I might make this a year," and then 18 years later, but then suddenly, did you have an epiphany? Was it like an angel came down and hit you over the head with its wand, or what was it that made you decide to make a change, and what was that change, and what was it about?
For sure. I mean, and you know what? I think a lot of people wish that what you just described was true, which is an angel just hits you over the head and says, this is what you're going to do now for the rest of your life. Like, of course, if it worked like that, it would be so easy. It's not quite like that, as we both know. So what happened for me, you're absolutely right. I was working in banking for 18 years, and I started right out of high school. I was what was called a bank teller back then. It's called a customer service representative now. But I remember that very first summer, I thought, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, no, I don't want to work in a bank. I don't want to work at a branch. And then fast forward 18 years, right? Different opportunities kept me there. But it was really interesting. So what caused me to leave banking was a restructure. So at the time, the large national bank that I was working for merged with a large national trust company. And the two of them became one. When that happened, there was large scale job loss, like thousands of jobs, and mine was one of them. But before that happened, I would say if we back it up about a year before I was restructured, and that was restructure number one. I've experienced two restructures before I got into coaching. But a year before I was restructured from the bank, I was already starting to think that this was not a place I wanted to be over the longer haul. And that was just more some awareness and reflection. I was starting to lose energy from my work. I was starting to look all around me at the bank, and I thought, it's just talk of profit, profit, profit everywhere. And that just, it didn't really align with my values anymore. I mean, TD Bank was very, very good for me and to me. But, I started to realize that, being in banking just wasn't for me. I mean, I wanted something that was a bit more purposeful. And about a year before I was restructured, I was attending a a conference. I was in learning and development at the time. And I was attending a conference in San Francisco, which was amazing. I love San Francisco. My aunt lives there. And while I was on the plane, I was reading a magazine. And in the magazine, there was a promotion for a book that had just been launched. And it was called Answering Your Call by John Schuster. And I was looking at the snippet, the description. I thought, ooh, this is really speaking to me. The book is all about, really digging deep into what are the calls that you've experienced in your life, starting from when you were a teenager. Like basically it goes like decade by decade of your life to see in what ways have you been called for different things, and not just necessarily paid employment. It could be volunteer work, it could be schooling, it could be any of those things. And so when I got home, I got the book and I started working through it. And while I was doing all the activities in it, I realized something really big, which is one common call that has been present in my entire life, starting from the age of 12. So I'm 56 now. That wasn't.
No, you're
right?
not.
Yes,
Stop
right?
it.
Yes, I know. So ages ago, right at the age of 12, and I credit my parents for this, I've been a volunteer. That was something my parents just, brought into the house. We all did things to give back in the community. And I mean, it was such a strong call that even now I'm still a serial volunteer. I still give my time pro bono. Actually, now every single year I do something. And so when I read that book, I realized, you know what? My call is not necessarily to be a volunteer for the rest of my life, although that's part of it. It was to take that love of volunteering and community engagement and parlay it into a career. And so I realized I wanted to get into not-for-profit, but I was at the bank and I thought, well, maybe the time isn't right now, but if the opportunity presents itself, I'm going to totally take the opportunity to get in not-for-profit. And then I was restructured. I lost my job. And I thought, this is like the universe telling me, you should really check this out, go and explore not-for-profit. And I had no idea what I wanted to do. So we were talking earlier, Kevin, about, do people that you work with already have an idea of what they want to do? I was one of those people. I had absolutely no clue. All I knew was I wanted to work for an organization whose bottom line was people and not profits. That's it. Like that was it. I didn't even know what my transferable skills were after 18 years in banking. I didn't know what kind of organizations I wanted to work with. I sure did not know what capacity I could give back in not-for-profit. And people would tell me, oh, you make a great fundraiser. Yeah, okay, fine. I've never done sales. I mean, that's what fundraising is. Fundraising is selling a cause. I had never done any kind of sales work. So I thought, oh, I wonder how that's going to fit. But you know what? I did talk to fundraisers and I realized soon enough after I talked to a few, yeah, this is not for me. So, my path was doing a lot of research. I did start to realize that the kind of causes I wanted to attach myself to were healthcare causes. Cancer has been a presence in my family and with friends. And so that's what really helped me figure out what I want to do. So the target then became healthcare, like not-for-profits, and in the cancer space was ideal for me. But doing a lot of research and talking to people, I realized, you know what? I have transferable skills in training, in instructional design, in relationship building, in customer service, in project leadership. And so I was able to parlay that to a next step where I was leading the implementation and partly design of cancer survivorship programs for a large national cancer organization here in Canada. And, so leaving banking, the angel never sat on me and, said, you hallelujah, you should do this. No. It was a little bit more like there was reading and there was research and there was reflection, and it was a journey. And it took, I would say probably it was upwards of 8 months to find my next job. It took a while, but it was all purposeful time spent. And it led me to an opportunity that was really memorable and allowed me to do some really great work supporting people living with cancer and their families. That's something I would never look back on.
Yeah.
Well, and I got to tell you, living the way that I believe that you were living, that what happened was preparation plus effort equals success. And you were preparing for that next step. And that's why it worked out for you.
Yeah.
But your ultimate destination was to be a coach and to help other people.
Yes.
Rochelle, we need to take our halftime break. Would you like to take us there, please?
Yes. Well, of course, Kevin is here, and so am I. We have Michelle Schafer with us here on the show today. Go check out her website, which is mschafercoaching.ca. You can see all her fun things there. And then I know Kevin's got a brilliant question for when we come back from the break, so don't go anywhere.
I don't know about, like brilliant. How about you? Maybe you could come up with something better. So in any event,
high stakes, high pressure.
We'll be right back after this. It's a minute and 10 seconds. Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
Are you looking for your daily dose of inspiration? Stay connected to all your favorite shows, music, and news with the Brushwood Media Network app. From Positive Talk Radio to Greatest Vibes Unplugged and so many more uplifting voices around the world, everything you need is right in one place. It's easy to use, too. Always available and designed to keep you inspired 24 hours a day. Go to brushwoodmedianetwork.com and download the app, and you will always have Brushwood Media available on your smartphone. Download it now and make inspiration and music and conversation part of your everyday. And welcome back. See, that was only a minute and 10 seconds, so just be quiet, everybody. Michelle, do you have a question, my dear?
Well, I was kind of thinking about when you started coaching, and did it shift from what you originally planned, or did you set a specific goal that just kind of built on itself?
That's a great question.
Because Michelle, you strike me as a bit of a planner. If you're
maybe over planning at times. Yes.
The plan is important, as we've talked about.
I just jump and see where the hell I'm going to land. That's how I roll.
Yeah, that works too.
Well, and it's interesting. Like for. Even when I was looking for work, but certainly my clients looking for work. I mean, yeah, there definitely is a component which does, follow a plan, having a plan, but then sometimes it's spontaneous too. And sometimes there are conversations that you have that spark an inspiration or provoke some thought that you didn't even think existed before. So it's really neat to see that build and bubble up. And so, Rochelle, I mean, your question for me is an insightful one, because my journey through coaching has not been linear, really. And even how I got into coaching is interesting. That's a story in itself, because a friend of mine who is a coach years and years ago, I would say it was probably 13 years ago or so, planted the seed with me. And she said, I never understood why you didn't get into coaching as a career. And at the time I was working for this large national cancer organization, was loving my job and the people I was working with. But then when I was restructured, again, it's losing a job that can really open up a door. That was the universe telling me I should really check this out. And, it was eventually when I was networking with a lot of coaches to decide if it was for me, it was eventually, interestingly enough, the the individual who would turn out to be the teacher for my first level of coaching certification. I was doing some networking with her, and when I was asking her about coaching and why she coaches and that, she looked at me and she said, "You don't need anybody to validate this. Like, you know what you're going to do next." And honestly, that's how I decided I was going to get into coaching. I knew it was within me, and all of my clients have the answer within them too. They just need somebody to, kind of tease that out for them. So for me, like, getting into coaching was really due from that planted seed in that friend of mine, and a whole lot of conversations with coaches certainly solidified it for me. But I decided that because I had been restructured twice, that I would choose to focus my coaching attention really in that space. So I'm actually trained as a life coach, but I've chosen to apply my coaching in the area of career because I thought, you know what, when I lost my job those 2 times, like, it would be really helpful to have somebody kind of walk alongside you, help you clarify that target and that destination, help you build out that plan. And so I wanted to be that for people. But I didn't just stay there. So this is where things deviate a bit, which is I realized about 2 years in. So I've just celebrated my 10-year coaching anniversary in July.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Hit the decade mark, which there were years, Kevin, I wasn't sure I would be, talking about it with you right now, let me tell you. But I realized about 2 years in that there were a whole lot of leaders that I could help as well. Leaders at different levels of the organization that needed help with things like delegating or delivering feedback, having challenging conversations, managing up to their leader and having, maybe some tough conversations as well. So I decided that I would branch out and I would do leadership coaching and career transition coaching. And then I would say maybe like around that time or a year after, because I've done a lot of workshops. I mean, when I was working for the bank, I did facilitation and design training. And I thought, well, okay, maybe there's an opportunity to facilitate workshops. So then I branched out even a third way. And I branched out into delivering workshops for leadership topics as well as career transition. And I would say all of those 3 things have carried me most of the time I've been coaching. Where I've changed again, though, so it's neat to see the pivots and shifts and changes, especially when you really pay attention to what's going on around you. I've realized in the last year and a half, that the one area of coaching that really lights me up, if I'm going to be true to what I coach my clients on, I have to pay attention to what gives me energy as well. What really fires me up is coaching somebody who either doesn't know what they want to do next and they're in transition, or especially like working with people who have lost their job and need to find something really immediately and helping them build a plan out. So I've started scaling back the leadership work. I've started ramping up the career transition work. And the workshops are, I do them every once in a while, but I really love the one-on-one career transition work. And, what has really helped me see that, especially over the last, a year and a half, is first of all, when COVID hit, I realized that I had a lot to say in the career transition space. Before that, believe it or not, I didn't do any writing. I was on LinkedIn, but I mainly just liked what other people shared. I hid behind the words of other people. And I started to realize in COVID that there were a lot of shifts in the labor market. I had a lot to write about. And so that led me to deciding to write a book. And that's where I really realized, and, I just started writing, it was January 2024, and I launched a year later. It was February of 25, like February of this year, where I launched my book called Cultivating Career Growth, Navigating Transitions with Purpose.
Hold it up.
Oh, hold it up. Yes. And it's won an award. It won an International Impact Book Award this year. So I was really excited about that. So yay. Was very excited. Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, no, I was just going to say that you, by the way, because of the transition that you've made from place to place to place, and now the biggest obstacle to job security that has happened, I think, in my lifetime is about ready to happen to all of us. And that is how AI is going to reshape the landscape. And it's going to mean that a lot of people are going to have to reinvent themselves because what they used to do isn't available to do anymore, which really, when you, Michelle, on the face of it, that really sucks for people, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it is so good because it makes them dig inside. It makes them take a look. It makes them think, who am I? Why do I do what I do? How do I feel? And Michelle, that was something that I wanted to touch on, because you have this vision and you have all these things, but it's in your head. And when sometimes you can just move that to your heart, how does it feel? What would it feel like if I embodied this or that, or, all these things? Because you're creating the possibility for it to happen. And I'd say you literally did that. You just were unaware of it. And you getting fired, all those people losing their jobs over one simple little change was impactful. That was the angel that said, okay, it's time. And but there's also a point to where you have to be careful. You're not over planning. And I don't mean that in don't be prepared enough, because you can always be more prepared. But if you get too lost and distracted on all the possibilities, and that's why I say move into your heart. What does it feel like? Because then sometimes you find yourself kind of doing the same thing, but in a different sense. Do you understand that?
Totally. I mean, I'll connect that to just, feeling grounded, in any, decision or evaluating different opportunities. Like I'll say to clients, your intuition really rarely, if ever, steers us wrong. And our bodies, like through our intuition, our bodies send us signals multiple times a day. Now, in the busyness of our world, oftentimes we ignore what those signs are. But in this, what we're talking about here, like evaluating opportunities, figuring out what your next step is going to be, reinventing yourself, like Kevin, you're absolutely right. Like AI is changing jobs. It is eliminating some jobs. And at the very minimum, people everywhere, I'm going to say, doing anything, have to be able to demonstrate that you can use AI, that you're okay with it, that you're okay with that change. Yeah. But I say to people, like, while you're figuring out what those next steps are, like if you're feeling uncomfortable, like in your gut, like maybe you've got a headache thinking about this, or your shoulders are tensing up, or any of those things, that's our body giving us signs. It's giving us signs either A, this opportunity is not really going to be aligned or right for you, or it could be sending the signs like B, this is something right. Maybe you're feeling nervous about it, but what's behind that fear? Is it the fear to try something new? Is it the fear that you're not going to succeed? I mean, oftentimes we can get underneath and explore the causes of that. So yeah, absolutely. How does it feel to think about doing something new, whatever that is? Look to your body, like feel how grounded you are. I remember when I made the decision to go into coaching, I felt it in my belly. I felt it land. It just dropped. And that's because it felt right. So I'd encourage everybody.
Get happy tears. Get those happy tears out and follow them.
Yeah.
Right, Kevin?
Well, I have to, and you just made me think that when I was general manager of a restaurant, and the restaurant was for sale, or the company was for sale, and so I went to another place and was interviewing with them. And during the interview, I started developing a massive headache. And turns out that was did I say horrible place but I did it anyway because I had the family and the kids and all that stuff. I should have just used my intuition and just walked away. And by the way, Michelle Schafer's our guest. And Michelle, her website again is?
Yes, visit her website, has all her coaching, the book, workshops. It is mschafercoaching.ca. And I love how you have all the different colors on there, right? When it's pop in your eye.
Yeah. That image is like, how do you stand out, right? The image of all the pencil crayons. And that's the name of the game when you're looking for something new. You need to distinguish yourself. You need to show what you bring to the table that makes you unique. You need to be considered as one candidate out of all of the candidates that apply. There's lots of ways that you can do that.
Exactly.
We need to take a real quick break. It's only going to be like 30 seconds, but before we go there, I want to tell you a real quick story. I grew up with a kid. We met when we were 5 years old. He called me many years later, and he started to develop a relationship with me when he was halfway done with a bottle of rum and on a Friday night. And he would talk about how he hated. Did I say hate? He hated his job. He didn't like his boss. He didn't feel good about it. And so I said, well, why don't you quit? Oh, I can't quit. I've got responsibilities. I've got this. I've got that. And I said, are you happy? And he said, hell no. And I said, well, then nobody else is happy around you. You need to make that decision to quit. And he said, and then he called me back then a couple of weeks later after he finished the other half of the bottle of rum. And he said, I can't quit. I just have to stay where I am. And I said, well, I'll tell you what. Until you make the decision to quit, don't call me back. So what I'm telling you, our audience is, if that is you, if that's how you're feeling, you need to hire a coach. I can't think of anyone better than Michelle for you to work with. She's in Canada, but she can work with anybody in the world, all over the world, and you can learn how to go and follow your heart and to find the job that will make you happy over time. And the AI thing, I think it can be a blessing in disguise, because there are people that hate their job, are going to lose their job, and then they have the opportunity to go find something really cool.
Yeah, we all have choices, and we do in our career as well.
And except when you're into the bottle of rum so deep that you can't anyway. And rum is Michelle's favorite drink. Anyway, we'll be right back. We'll be 30 seconds is all. There is a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to change. Not every song changes you, but the right ones do. At Greatest Vibes Unplugged, we share music that hits deeper, no filters, no noise, just pure sound with soul. This is your reminder that light still exists, and sometimes it sings. And remember, you can look up in the sky and see the stars, but still not see the light. And welcome back to Positive Talk. Michelle, do you have any idea? The lyrics there are, you can look up in the sky and see the stars and still not see the light. Do you know who that lyric is from?
Oh my gosh, Kevin, I'm going to need you to fill in the gaps for me. I'm terrible at figuring out who artists are.
That's an old Eagles song, but we do one of the things that we've blossomed into is we do Positive Talk Radio. We also do Greatest Vibes Unplugged on the Brushwood Media Network. So and which is my dream and a passion. I've always wanted to do it. Michelle makes it just so fun to do and stuff. So I am quite literally living the life of my dreams. And I wish that for everybody. And sometimes you need someone like Michelle to help, right, Michelle? Boy, that was hard. Go ahead.
You got 10 times fast, Kevin. I dare you.
Well, and it is true, because there's people that are like me, and it's like, well, there's so many things. I don't know where to start. I don't know which one is more important than another. And Really, it's when you take the leap and you've got enough to give you that vision and the motive to do something. When you start doing it, it just is this ripple effect, and it can lead to so much more than you really even saw in the first place. So sometimes you just have to make that leap, and you just have to go for it. Just do it. Don't wait for, let's say, everyone says, well, I'm just waiting for the right time. Well, the opportunity is already created. You're just not following it. Does that make sense, Michelle?
Oh, totally. And you know what? I mean, there really is no perfect time. And
Right.
I have spoken to people who say, yeah, I'm waiting for the perfect time. And I'll say, well, when is that? And then we're putting all of the control into something that we can't control. So I say to people, you know what? So yeah, maybe today you're not making a big change, and that's okay. That's okay to have some layers to your plan. But I say, don't just wait for something to happen and then get ready now. I mean, all we have to do is look around us. There is a lot of job loss, and there's a fair number of people that say, oh, I'm going to be fine, I'm not going to do anything, or I'll just wait and see if I'm let go. Well, why would you wait and see? Then all of the people who have been ready, they're already out there looking for work, and you're still sitting there trying to figure out what to do next. So, there's so many things to do to get ready. Like, get your resume updated, look at your LinkedIn profile, start, really reconnecting with your network. I mean, there's lots that you can do to develop your plan so that you're really ready to go in the event there is some change.
Yep.
And I don't know if you know this, but there's always change. Change is going to happen. And regardless of whether you want to or not, change is liable to happen to you.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And it's not what happens, it's how we respond to what happens. That's really key. So yes, you might lose your job, and nobody can control that. That's totally out of your control. It's a business decision that your organization made, but how you respond to that change is what is going to lead you to something new. And so if you decide to do nothing and cry about it, which crying is part of responding to change. I mean, I don't want to underestimate that. There's a lot of grief that comes with losing a job, but if that's the only thing that you do, then you're not going to be any closer. So, take the time that you need for yourself. Definitely do grieve, and, do connect with people and do things that give you joy, and then really start to get a plan together to take steps forward. Because sitting on the couch watching Netflix for months on end is not going to get you your next job.
Yeah. Well, and it made me think, allow yourself, instead of adapting with work, allow work to adapt with who you are in yourself. That is so important. I never thought I would do something like this, even with Kevin, and it was terrifying. I've spilled coffee down my shirt. During this show, my cat's been all over me, and the life is still happening. Time is still moving.
Exactly.
But it doesn't have to be a negative experience. Kevin been telling me for the last few months, enjoy the journey, enjoy the journey, enjoy the journey. I'm like, yeah. And then
look at my sign, right, Michelle?
All of a sudden,
it's like all around you.
Well, when I started enjoying it, I was given more reasons to consistently enjoy it, rather than it be like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? Because I wasn't worried about that. I was present. We're not trying to control the future and bring the past with us. It's now. And it's been a different feeling to go through it. And for other people watching you, if you're that person and you're doing those things, or you're thinking about doing it, do it, and believe in everything that you do every step of the way, because the impact you're making for others around you and what you're also teaching them is the most powerful thing of all time. That's why we're here, to help each other.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the major thing is that it's hard to look outside of yourself. And it's hard to see everything that other people see in you, and other people, because I'm willing to bet that somebody's come to Michelle and said at one point, I have no earthly idea what I want to do. I can't decide. I can't do anything. I'm just it's pointless. And then you help them change their perspective from being pointless to being purposeful. And then you give them the idea that then they can run with it. And but without a purposeful coach, you can't, it's hard to, and I love your family and friends, whoever you are, but they're not going to tell you the truth half the time. And so you need somebody who is going to tell you the truth and is going to be honest with you, and then lead you and create the circumstances by which you can be successful through her experiences. Would you agree with that, young lady?
Absolutely.
And yes, I was talking to you, young lady.
She said, "Ooh, what are you talking about?"
I'll still grab that, Kevin, even at 56. That's okay.
Oh, would you stop? I'm old enough to be your older brother.
By a long shot.
Hey. You don't need to go there. Michelle, Michelle, I got to tell you, you are a delightful soul. You've got a lot of energy to you. You're a lot of fun to talk to, and we could talk to you for hours. But again, Michelle, we're going to run out of time. So
I know.
Michelle,
yes, I'll take us out. And Michelle, I would just want to thank you for being the person someone can come to without you choosing opinions of what someone should do with their life. You're allowing them to think of their own self and what they want for their future. And that is hugely impactful. So thank you for all you're doing, the time that you've spent with us. I want to give you these last few minutes to tell us where we can find you on all things, the book, and then any message you'd like to leave us with from the show.
Absolutely. So my website, mschafercoaching.ca, Michelle, it was wonderful that you were able to cite. That's where you can find out about me, my programs. You can get a free copy, a free chapter of my book. So all of that information will be in the show notes, as well as a free access to the career focus framework that will help you reflect on what's important to you, which will help you plot your next steps. So all of that is on my website. My book, Cultivating Career Growth, Navigating Transitions with Purpose, is available on Amazon. And so the link to buy is directly in there as well. So there's lots of resources. I would also say, if you're on LinkedIn, please reach out. Let me know that you heard me here on Positive Talk Radio. And I would love to answer any questions that you have. My email will be in the show notes. So there's a few different ways to get a hold of me. I would say, as a parting statement or wish, I guess, for everybody is, there might be some listeners who have lost their jobs and they're feeling pretty discouraged. Others that maybe are languishing in jobs that you don't really enjoy. And it may feel really uncomfortable being in that place. And I think what I'd like to share as my parting words is, this is not your forever place. So if you're looking for work and you've lost your job and you have to find something fast, know that you're not going to be looking for work forever. If you're languishing in a job that maybe is a bit of a dead end job for you, you just have really lost the energy and need something new, know that you're not going to be languishing forever. There are choices to make. There are things to do. There's opportunities out there. And so look to the hope and possibility, because I feel that for everybody who's listening today.
That's probably the biggest statement, is hope and possibilities. Because if you look at it as when you get, like, as in your case, you were pretty much, downsized twice. And when that happens, you reinvented yourself. You didn't say, oh, crap, here I am, and I'm just going to be just sad. You reinvented yourself and made it. And now you are being somebody of service, and you are helping other people find their passion and purpose. Congratulations. That's a big deal.
you. Thank you so much. And, anybody listening, I encourage you to think about what's backstage waiting in your life. Maybe there's something big that you've wanted to try and the timing has never been right, or you never thought you could do it. This could be it for you. This could be your time. So, acknowledge it, embrace it, and take the steps to do something. Sometimes all it takes is one baby step that cracks open the door to something big. And people could be on the cusp of their something big.
If you were to have told Michelle a year and a half ago that, you know what, I think you should be well, she was the lunch lady at the middle school. I think you should be a professional broadcaster. She would have said, I think you're friggin' crazy. Wouldn't you have, Michelle? You need to stop smoking that silly smoke and because it's and stuff. But here she is. She's on 2 different radio shows, 15 hours a week.
Yeah.
Yay.
Amazing.
And on that note, I want to tell everybody, believe that you deserve all the things and see what happens. You have nothing else to lose.
Yeah.
And if you feel called, give Michelle Schafer a call because she can help you get on the right track. And there's going to be lots of people in the hundreds of thousands that are going to need to be on the right track. So give Michelle a call. Thank you so much. You have a great day. And Michelle, you too. You are phenomenal as always.
Yay.
Thanks. Bye, everybody. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got.